XDefiant Season 1 has been underway for some time now, but something a little strange is happening with the Ubisoft title. What is your honest take on XDefiant Season 1 so far? Or better yet, what is your honest take on XDefiant so far? What do you think developers are downright crushing, and what do you think needs work? Let us know down below. If this is your first time here, welcome, and if you are returning, welcome back. Feel free to let up the comment section as we go along. Let's get rolling. This is probably one of the most annoying things about XDefiant at this point in time. You guessed it, the spiderbot. The spiderbot is a tactical ability from XDefiant's DedSec faction. When deployed, it releases a robotic spider that seeks out nearby enemies. Once it locates a target, the spiderbot leaps onto their face and leaves them vulnerable to follow-up attacks. XDefiant players aren't happy with changes made to the spiderbot ability for Season 1. Since they now have one less counter to use against the ability in matches, this change was enabled in the first XDefiant update for Season 1, which recently introduced the new GSK faction, new maps, and more. Now, just to clear up any confusion, there was an adjustment made just so no one here thinks that the content is outdated. XDefiant Season 1 introduced the new clubhouse map on the first day of the season, alongside with the capture the flag mode. 3 new weapons, the GSK faction, and several bug fixes. The Daytona and Rockefeller maps will be added in the coming months, and more updates will rebalance weapons and gear as the development team gauges feedback from the community. These updates will continue to fix bugs and evolve the game's meta, but the July 2nd update introduces a problem with the spiderbot ability, making it more difficult to counters for players on the receiving end. For a minute there, players discovered that the spiderbots weren't able to be shot off of their face, unless a teammate shot it off of their face for them. This change was not disclosed by Ubisoft in the XDefiant Season 1 patch notes, and players weren't too thrilled about it online. As reported by Dexterto, players were initially able to shoot the bot off of their face just by firing at their feet, but the July 2nd update prevented players from directly dealing damage to it if you were shooting with your crosshairs at the ground. The change had frustrated a lot of the community, especially on Reddit, with many players stating that the game is unplayable and is unfair in Season 1. On the other hand, some players believe this change was unintentional, but there is some more intel to this. On X, executive producer over at Ubisoft Mark Rubin stated that the ability to shoot the spiderbot off of you for defense was actually a bug, and it wasn't intended to be this way. I don't know about you guys, but this became a huge part of my XDefiant gameplay. If I knew there was a spiderbot nearby, I would subconsciously start to lower my crosshairs and start shooting my weapon. Let's take a look at what Mark Rubin has to say. Okay, now that we've gotten through the patch and ranked is now live, I want to talk about spiderbots. So when the game launched, there was a bug that you could shoot down at your feet and destroy the spiderbot. This was not intended. However, there was also a bug in that meleeing them was way harder than it was supposed to be. So we wanted to keep the bug of shooting them off of your own face in the game until we fixed other spiderbot issues. However, the bug fix got integrated into the Season 1 patch, and so an important counter was removed unintentionally. We are reverting that fix in the non-existing emergency patch, so you will again be able to shoot them off of your own face by shooting at your feet. The other changes to the spiderbot will remain, i.e. longer cooldown, etc. For the future, we are going to change the way the spiderbot works, but until then, the bug where you can shoot them off of your own face will remain, and we will continue to find other ways to balance all abilities over time. So since this is, or was, I guess Mark Rubin is going to go ahead and make this a part of the game. As a defense mechanism, what was the way for players to really counter this, other than your teammates stopping what they're doing to go ahead and shoot the spiderbot off of you? I guess it makes sense because most of the abilities in the game do have the ability to knock 1 or 2 players out of system, if not the whole entire team. The drone from the cleaners has the ability to get some major multi-kills, especially in objective game modes. The intel suit lets you see multiple players without them necessarily knowing your position, giving you a competitive advantage. But this one seems to be the most odd. I'm trying to make sense of this, but I just quite can't. Mark Rubin is stating that there will be adjustments made to this, but I am honestly hoping that the spiderbot in general does not stay in the competitive mix long term. It just seems cheap and I don't really see it working in my opinion. I'd rather get taken out by any other ability than the spiderbot. But maybe that was one of the main purposes behind the spiderbot, is to be annoying. Something that made me raise a brow though was the fact that Mark Rubin in the tweet said they will be changing how the spiderbot works. How significant will this change be? There was a response that was under Mark Rubin's original post. I think something like a quick time event, being able to spam a certain button to remove them could work really well. Shooting them off with some guns isn't too hard, SMGs, LMGs, ARs, but with the slower shooting weapons like snipers and shotguns, it's near impossible. I personally kind of like this idea. It does sound like on paper it can be more balanced, but it absolutely still has the ability to be even more annoying than it already was or is. But again, I think this might work. Heavy on the mic. Let me know what you think though. Despite the issues surrounding the spiderbot ability, many players are still sticking with the competitive shooter, since updates could remedy the problem and add new counters. In fact, XDefiant is one of Ubisoft's most successful games to date, with over 11 million players around the world. Ubisoft CEO believes that the player base will continue to grow in Season 1, and updates that address some of the game's issues can help spread positive word of mouth and grow the community. Before we duck out of here, let's talk about my guys over at Waves Customs. These things are the absolute truth when it comes to audio in gaming. You can use these for your lifestyle. Maybe you like to work out, maybe you like to play music. Regardless, these things are amazing. You can get these fitted for your ears only just by 3D scanning your ears with your smartphone, both iPhone and Android. After you do that and pick any colorway and put any aesthetic on your earbuds, maybe you want to rep your favorite esports team, maybe you want to rep your favorite e-girl, you, my friend, will have an absolute unit of an audio experience headed your way. Check these guys out and use code NERV7 for 10% off any purchase at checkout. This will be the first link down in the description. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for sticking around and drop a like. And we are chasing down our first 1K subs here on the channel, just under 50 away. Let's go ahead and make that happen. And once again, let me know your honest take on XDefiant so far, and if there is anything you would change. Thank you all for your time. All y'all take care, and I'm out.